For those who might not know me, it's my second week here, Father Steve, the new priest. Happy to be with all of you. And I know some of you were maybe away for 4th of July, but looking forward to getting to know all of you. The gospel this Sunday focuses on the environment, and I think as you hear in the gospel, when you're sowing seeds, right? Some seed fell on the path, some on rocky ground, others among thorns. But the seeds that were planted in rich soil produced much fruit. The environment matters more than we think, right? So, for example, if you have a flower that doesn't bloom, what do? You just kill the flower? Bad flower. Right? No, honestly, what do you do when the flower doesn't bloom? You eat it? Oh, no. I haven't heard that one. When a flower doesn't bloom, you don't blame the flower necessarily. You try to change the environment, correct? Maybe it's not getting enough sunlight, maybe too much water, maybe too little water, maybe the right kind of fertilizer. Maybe I have to give it compost, right? You don't just blame the flower. And if you change the right environment, the flower will bloom. But many times we blame the flower, right? As a teacher for many years, as a high school principal, when I encounter students with drama or issues or behavior issues, right? Yes, part of it is due to it's the student's fault, but I think more of it has to do with the environment, right? It's not always the flower, the student's problem. It's the environment that the student is involved in. Maybe the student has family issues. Maybe there's instability. Maybe there's insecurity, right? The environment matters a lot more than we think. Take, for example, something as simple as water, right? How much does a glass of water cost at home? I mean, there is a water bill, right? But I mean, it's pretty cents or practically free, right? Well, water, if you go to the supermarket, if a bottle of water, how much does that cost? It's not a couple of cents. It's a couple of dollars, maybe $1, $2, $3, something like this. Well, what if you go to a sporting event? How much is that? Don't tell me it's free. Don't tell me it's a couple cents. Don't tell me it's $1. Levi's is like $10 or $15. Okay? Same water. Correct? Water is water. Last time I checked. Right? But depending on the environment, the price has changed. Talking about sowing and I have a friend. He's a gardener / landscaper. How much does he charge to do landscaping for his own house? I mean, what are you going to charge himself? Whatever the wife tells him to do, he's got to do it. And it's free, right? What about family and friends? How much should he charge family and friends? Can't charge full price. You got to give some kind of discount, correct? Right? What about how much should he charge for a zip code in East San Jose? Full price, whatever the price going rate is, right? What about if he does that same job, scope of work in a different zip code, like Menlo Park or Atherton? Don't tell me it's a discounted price. He's gonna try to upsell it. He's gonna charge more than full price. No? Yes? Sliding scale. Same job, same lawnmower. Different price. What has changed? The environment. And as human beings, the environment, the thorns, the rocky ground, rich soil, all this matters, right? There's a man by the name of Jim Rohn. He says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, right? If you want to change as a person, you don't have to change yourself, just change the environment. Just change the people that you hang out with. Pretty simple, right? And let me give you some tips, pro tips, right, on how we can do this. Because your homework this week is, I want you to choose one person that inspires you in your faith and spend time with that person. Change the environment, right? So, number one, I would say goodbye to the negative Nellies, is what we call, right? Do you know people who are always negative? You hang out with them, it's just always drama, always gossip, always, it's just like, and then the world is about to, end, and everything's bad, everything's negative, right? Even if you're a positive person, you hang around with the negative people enough, what are you going to become? Yeah, don't tell me it's not like a battery, negative becomes positive, You're going to become a negative person. I remember when I was first ordained as a priest, I wanted to gain wisdom, hang out with some veterans, and how do you do this priest thing, and there's a group of guys like, hey Steve, come on over, and then we'd hang out, but every time whether we're having drinks or a dinner, like the whole conversation is all negative. Oh, this is bad. Oh, the bishop is bad. Oh, the diocese is bad. All these parishioners are horrible. Oh, da, da, oh, da, 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 da. I mean, if I hang out with those people enough, I'm going to be depressed, right? So you gotta avoid the negative Nellies. Think about if you're part of the top 5 people you hang out with, if that person is always negative, right? Maybe think about spending less time. If that person is your spouse, I don't know. That's your choice. That's your decision. Number 2, find people who are smarter than you. I know you're smart, okay? But there's people who are smarter than you. Did you know that? Yes? And the number one kind of quality or characteristics of very successful people is they recognize what they're good at and they recognize what they're not good at. And they find people to help them in what they're not good at. Yeah? I remember when I was trying to learn Spanish, they had me all set up to go on like this immersion program in Mexico, right? And I was looking it up. What is this immersion program? It's like an international school, right, in Mexico City where you learn Spanish and you immerse and you eat tacos or whatever, right? And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good, pretty cool. I'm excited. And then I started thinking, why would I go all the way to Mexico to hang out with international students that don't speak Spanish to learn Spanish? Does that make sense? But that's what most people do. And I said, you know what? I'd rather speak with like somebody who actually does speak Spanish fluently. So I kind of created my own plan, right? And I went to Guadalajara. Guadalajara they speak like authentic Spanish over there, right? Mexican Spanish, that is, right? So I went there and I had some contacts. So I just stayed and worked at a parish and got to hang out with everybody. And that's how I learned Spanish. Not in an international school full of international students, right? You want to learn something, hang out with the best. There's people who are better than you, than me, right? And I remember, as when you're entering the seminary, you have to have like a spiritual director, right? And I said, if I'm going to get a spiritual director, like, I need a lot of help. So I got to get the best of the best. And as I think about my life, I have been truly blessed with wonderful advisors, wonderful spiritual directors that have helped me and guided me. Maybe some of you know a guy by the name of Father Kevin Joyce. Father Kevin Joyce, he passed away not too long ago. But when I entered the seminary 17, I said, I want the best. So I got Father Kevin to be my spiritual director. And then in the seminary, it was, at the time, was Father Michael Barber. Now he's the Bishop of Oakland, right? He was a great mentor for me. And then even afterwards, some of the great Jesuits, Father Mark Revisa, he's he's great. So all these great people, I said, I don't want to just get like some normal guy. I want to get the best, right? So find people who are smarter than you in whatever you're doing, right? And in terms of the faith, I know we're good people, but there's so many wonderful people that we can look up to, right? That we can learn from. It's called your godparents. It's called your neighbors. It's called some of the parishioners here. It's called the lives of the saints, right? Who have lived, a cloud of witnesses who have lived extraordinary, amazing lives that we can learn from. And number three, if you can't meet someone smarter than you, well, watch them, right? So we have technology. So with this whole World Cup stuff, there's a lot of great young players, and when they interview them, they're like, well, who was your idol growing up? And Ronaldo or Messi, all these people. And a lot of them will say, I grew up in Brazil, I grew up in Portugal, wherever. I never met Messi, I never met Ronaldo growing up, but I know them. Because why? You go to YouTube. You go to YouTube. You want to be a great soccer player? You never met them. You go to YouTube and you find out all of their moves, all of their highlights, and then you imitate them, right? So many young folks, they say, hey, Father Steve, I learned how to play the guitar, right? Like even like little kids, 10-year-olds, 7, 9-year-olds, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. Where did you learn to play the guitar? Did you have like a tutor or something, right? Because I remember growing up, like I was forced to take piano lessons. Oh, I don't like it, but you have to have a tutor, right? I said, no, I just went on YouTube and I pick up how to play the guitar. Huh. Right? We have great theologians, great Catholic speakers, Catholic content all over the place, right? So if you like somebody, a podcast, right? You don't necessarily have to meet that person. You don't necessarily have to have in one-on-one spiritual direction. Just look them up on YouTube, right? If you can't meet somebody who's smarter than you, go watch them. That's why we have technology, right? So, for your homework this week, I would say try to level up your environment. Right? It's the same water, but it costs a lot more at Levi Stadium, right? It's the same gardening scope of work, but they charge a lot more in a different zip code. Right? Level up your spiritual environment, right? Detach yourself from the negative nillies. Find people who are smarter than you in the faith. Hang out with that person. If you can't find that person, go watch that person, right? So think about one person that you want to spend time with this week that's going to inspire you in your faith, to plant ourselves, sow ourselves in rich soil to produce fruit. I know for me, I was thinking about this, and one of my former parishioners back in my old parish at St. Leo, there's a guy by the name of Gabriel Gonzalez. He's 98 years old. But whenever I hang out with him, it just, like, he just motivates me, inspires me to be a better person. He was one of those campesinos. He was a migrant farm worker, was in the military, was boxing for a little bit, and he started a barbershop, Bellarmine Barbershop, actually, down by Bellarmine High School. And he's 98, but he goes to mass. He's full of faith, and he loves to flirt with the ladies. He loves to dance. He loves to live life. 98, he'll go to Puerto Vallarta. Just living life. And just whenever I hang out with him, it's like, wow, like I want to be like you when I grow up. When I get older, right? It just inspires me to be a better person, right? So think about in your life, who is that one person that you want to level up your faith, right? And if that person is sitting next to you, great. If that person's your neighbor, knock on the door. If that person's a parishioner, say, hey, you think we can have coffee one of these days? Or maybe if that person is you can't reach that person, watch them on YouTube. Maybe if that person has passed away, well, say a prayer, ask for a prayer of intercession. We have patron saints, patroness saints of anything you can think of, right? So level up this week, homework. Choose one person that kind of inspires you in your faith. Spend time and learn from that person this week.